Smashing your camera with a hammer isn't the only way you'll ruin your photography. Have you ever taken the time to analyse some of the mistakes that you might make, perhaps on a regular basis, that have a real negative impact on your photography? Well, I've come out today, I've driven a few miles to this old railway cutting. I haven't come far because, let's face it, who can afford fuel right now? I thought, well, it's nice and shady, it's a very hot day, I'll just come out and I'll see whether I can give you some pointers for the kind of things that really will screw your photography up and they're easy to overlook. And the first thing that could screw up your photographs is adaptation, or more specifically, not adapting. Now, what do we mean when we're saying not adapting? It's about working to the conditions that you are dealt with. Today is leading up to one of the hottest days of the year in this country ever recorded. In a couple of days' time, it's expected to get up to 40 degrees. But even today, it's 20, 22, something like that. And it's pretty warm. Sun is burning. Put the hat on for obvious reasons. One of my famous scarves to basically keep my neck from burning and such. And I've come to, so far, a relatively shady place. But out here we have a couple of lone trees. It's a bit of an oxymoron, I suppose. Two lone trees, a pair of trees. And I spotted these when I came down this path earlier in the year when I did another video about ICM, which you can see up here. And at the time, I can't remember whether I featured these or not, but I did spot them. They looked rather nice on the hill, but it was much earlier in the year. I think it was kind of February time. And obviously no crops in the field or anything else. Right now, we've got a really lovely frame of this. I'm working at about 25mm on the lens. I'm going to put a polarizer on to see whether I can darken the sky down a little bit. There is a tiny bit of wispy cloud up there, but there's not a lot. And well, yeah, we're going to just get a summer kind of shot that's all about the colour of the wheat field, the trees, which, yeah, as the camera's metering it, I'm getting as a silhouette, so I'm going to have to work with that and possibly bracket it so that I pick up some of the greens in the trees. And yeah, we'll see what we can get out of that. It's quite a nice shot, really. The polarizer has darkened the sky a bit, got the wispy cloud in. As you see, I'm handheld. This way I can just be a little bit more dynamic with the framing. The polarizer has also brought a degree of contrast to the trees as well, so they're not just in silhouette, it's brought the colour quite nicely. Cardinal sin here of splitting the frame in half, horizon just in the centre, but it's justified because we've just got this colour difference between the wheat and the blue sky, and I think it looks quite nice. It's yeah, it's not a portfolio image, but it's about getting your process right. It's about adapting. It's that adaptation that's the important thing. So we do this all the time in our normal lives. We adapt all the time. Yeah, we wouldn't go out in this weather in a damn great winter coat, for instance. It's adaptation. In this case, I've chosen to use the polarizer and kind of got myself into a bit of a tight spot with surrounded by stinging nettles, but I think I've got a nice shot out of it. So yeah, chalk that up to being adaptive. Well, another thing that can really ruin your photography I'm absolutely guilty of this right now, so consider this as a bonus because it wasn't in the script. Script, you say, is not only being able to adapt to the environment, the conditions and such you're in, but also making sure that you've got the equipment to adapt. So whereas, well, that's bright, isn't it? Whereas I've got the camera gear, I've got the lenses, I've got the filters, I've got the adapters for the filters. What I've completely forgotten to bring with me is the battery backups for the camera I'm recording on and anything else I might need additional power for. So I'm going to have to be a little careful in this this video. And that was a stinging nettle that caught my hand going past. So, yeah, great. But I am prepared with some ointment in my bag, so if that comes up in some nasty blotches, at least I can put some gunk on it. Now, you might be thinking, silly sod, he's hardly adapting much, is he? I mean, it's a bright day. He's gone into the woods. I mean, these are hardly woodland photography conditions, are they? Well, I'll tell you something for nothing. In a relatively flat landscape like Norfolk, until you get really close to the coast, where you do get some hills and cliffs and such, and a flat landscape, a bit like this, on a day like today, shooting out from this environment is just crazy. Yeah, well, don't bite me. And as much as anything else, it's the YouTube algorithm that's kind of pushed me out today, because I haven't got a video for this week, and yeah, I needed one. So I've come out and I'm doing a video on a day that's not perfect for it. It's pretty warm, but knowing that Monday and Tuesday could be, yeah, the kind of temperatures that if you go out you end up in a pile of dust, I don't have a great deal of choice. So, you know, here we are. And if I'm selective, if I adapt better to the environment, I'm sure I can get some reasonable shots. For instance, if I visualize things in black and white, then I can work more with contrast rather than the color. So loads of contrast with a big bright sun high in the sky coming through dappled trees and such. Dappled, like, what's the word? I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to head that way, and yeah, we can pick this up sometime further down here when I've got an idea of what the hell I'm on about. Now, as much as I don't want to be out in the sun for longer than I have to, these daisies, or whatever they are, I'm sure someone will correct me as to what they are. Truthfully, I do not know, but they are just glorious little things, and I think that there's a shot, there has to be a shot on one of these clumps of daisies, because they're just picking up the light beautifully on the shadow side, but the words. Anyway, the side that's not catching the sun, there's a nice little bit of shadow on them, and I think there's something really kind of special about these. So I'm going to just try and see what I can make with the lens that I have on. Glass is always a problem here. Got to be careful not to overdo the highlights. so they blow out, but there's plenty of detail in this. Just see whether I can find one or a clump. Maybe. Let's get this off and see whether I can shoot through them. This lens does focus quite closely. f5.6, I think that just pulled it into focus a little. Well, I think they pulled the others into focus a little bit too much around. It's not a perfect bloom, that one. Let's see what we've got here. That's quite nice, that one there. f4, see what we can pull with f4. This isn't an ideal situation, I'll grant you. No, f2.8 and that just did not work. It's just pulling the background into focus too much for my liking. That's perhaps better, but let's see whether we can focus through some. See whether we can find anything that's going to kind of work here. Kind of like that one. That's not bad. Let's see if we can just go a slightly different way. Just check my histogram on this as well, because I'm not entirely sure I'm not blowing out the highlight now. Oh no, we're nowhere near it. Good. Excellent. So they look a bit bright on screen, but they're perfectly well, perfectly exposed, I suppose. It's very difficult to tell in the wild out here because the screen lies to you. If no other reason, you've got a JPEG representation on the screen rather than a raw representation. But there you go. Nice little shot adapting to the very bright conditions out here. Hope you like that, and yeah, I'm sure this is a very weird angle as well. Hey ho, check out the daisy picture anyway. Something else that will ruin your photography is being late, because if you're late, you're rushing, and if you're rushing, you make mistakes. It doesn't matter what you do with this, whether you're late for work, whether you're late for anything. When you're late, you start making mistakes. This light is very harsh, isn't it? I realise I look a little bit like some kind of cartoon character with the brim and the big nose. My apologies, but no matter what I do out here, the sun's just too bright. If I do that, I can't see. Like my eyes squint. It's horrid. Us Brits are always moaning about the weather, aren't we? Anyway, don't be late. If you're late, you start making mistakes. You start rushing. You forget things. Being late is the cardinal sin of, well, life. Not just photography, but if you're going out to try and capture an image, perhaps it's sunset, if you're late for these things, you just missed the opportunity. It's like missing your plane or your train or your bus. Another one won't be along for another hour, 12 hours, 14 hours, another day, whatever it is. You've missed it. Do not be late. I don't know, that's it really, just don't be late. Now this meadow is absolutely teeming with wild sweet peas and buttercups, and I'm right on the edge of it here. And one of the problems with the meadow is it's just in full sunlight, but I've just got this little area just here, right on the edge, that's picking up some shadow. Can you pick up shadow? I don't know. Anyway, it's in shadow and it's nice. Sadly, I've got the camera kind of facing away from the sweep here at the minute, but I've put my macro lens on and I'm focused quite nicely into it. I've got a couple of shots, one or two at different exposures, and all looks rather nice. So I'll take a few more and show you those. So of course something else that will not help your photography is using the wrong lens. Now today I've managed to come out and I've adapted to what I'm presented with because I have the lenses with me. I've got my macro, which I'm using right now. I've got my 12 to 40, which is today my kind of go-to lens, and I've got the big 40 to 150 in the bag. I've not actually used it today, which is quite unusual for me. Normally it's the lens that's actually on the camera all the time. But I've got all of these things and I can swap them out. Now in the shot earlier, the first shot you saw of the two trees on the field, I was in danger of getting that wrong by selecting the wrong lens. Now I kept the 12 to 40 on there, and I chose to get closer to the subject rather than putting the longer lens on and just kind of zooming through. And part of the reason for that was I needed to get a little closer so I could get some of the foliage just kind of down slightly, get it out the way a little more. And it was easier to do that just by moving a couple of feet than swapping the lens. Because if I could kind of swap the lens and stay in the kind of position I was at, I was in danger of having to kind of come up that little bit too far and to look over the foliage I didn't want. But by doing that, I'm also then going to be in the zone of the tree cover at the top, and that certainly was a problem. So I think I had the right choice of lens. I'm often, itchy head, been bitten. I'm often quite lazy in changing lenses, but in this case I think I got it right. Having the right lens is obviously a really important thing. Now what if you haven't got the right lens for the job? Can you not take the photograph? Well, my advice would always be, shoot what the heck you can, because every time we do this, so long as we can take a step back when we look at them later on, every time we do this, it's practice, and practice is an absolutely key thing for us. No one just picks up a camera and instantly knows exactly how to use it, how to get the compositions and how to do all this stuff. You've got to practice, and failure is part of practice. So if you get it wrong, just analyse what's wrong with it, and just get it wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting things wrong. We learn from our mistakes. I'm going to see what other macro shots of some of these wonderful little flowers and seeds and grasses and everything at the edge of this meadow I can get, because I don't want to go in and trample things. So literally I'm just going to work in a very small area, and there's got to be some others, haven't there? Well, from wandering back from the canal through the woods, I've come across this tree with this ivy on it, and well, yeah, it's quite something, isn't it? Now, this is my black and white that I kind of mentioned earlier. I was hoping I was going to find something like this, and you may be able to see I've got the camera at a very curious angle here, because I want to make this appear kind of straight up, and I don't know whether it's going to work, but this ivy, there's 2 or 3 trees around here that are literally being strangled by this stuff, and I'm just focusing on this trunk of the ivy coming up here and just kind of wrapping itself around the tree here. Got it in black and white. Really awkward to kind of obliterate any light pinpoints behind the tree here. Very, very awkward. Had to move the camera quite a lot here, and I don't know whether it's going to work. It looks okay in the camera. Yeah, really kind of detailed shot, and yeah, I'll have a play with it in Lightroom and probably Silver Effects, and I'll show it to you now. And if it's come out, I'll show it to you now. And yeah, hope you like it.